All right, great.
Hi, I love that.
Hey,
I'm here with Langhorne Slim, an artist. He's on Dual Tone Records, and I'm familiar with your music because I think someone at NBC turned me on to you, or someone's cousin, niece, somebody told me about your music a while ago, and you did a showcase, and I've been a fan since. So,
it's always how the best things happen is when a cousin's niece. There's so much effort to get, through managers and labels and publicists to get the music out there. And then the sort of some of the most special highlighty things of my career and life happened because of a cousin's niece or
or
something like
whatever,
that.
word of
So,
mouth,
yeah,
yeah. But it was
so I
like
love to
kind of
hear
like
that.
that. It's like they were like, oh, they go to every one of your shows and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, I'll come check it out. And from then on, I've been a fan.
I
Um,
love it.
so that's pretty cool. So are you touring right now? Are you on tour or what's going
I'm
on?
at home in Nashville. I just got back from a show with the band, and I was doing since things have kind of opened back up. I've been doing shorter tours, more solo tours, and then some kind of like one-off festival stuff with the band. And then this fall, we're gonna do a longer tour than I've done in a long time. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, right on. And so you wrote your album Strawberry Mansion like in 2020? Was that over?
Mhm. It
And
was
that
in the
was,
beginning. Yeah, 2020. That's right.
and what was, what was was that because you were like, was the inspiration behind that? Like what
How much
inspired?
time you got?
Yeah, right? No.
I'll try to be concise.
Okay.
I okay. Well, the inspiration I I think was a forced stillness due to the pandemic. It was a new lease on life due to getting sober again after a gnarly relapse.
Wow.
Um, and I got sober about 9 or 10 years ago, and I just did it on my own. And it though I was able to stay away from alcohol and drugs for a short for some years, my life got pretty toxic and pretty out of control without me really realizing what the hell was happening. And then I got trying to make this quick, but I got prescribed some medication for anxiety that I knew I really, me being me, didn't really have any business taking, but I took it, got hooked on it. That led to several years of like full on relapse. And so right before the pandemic hit, I was actually living out in Los Angeles for about 8 months. Um, Not the first or the last to kind of really get shit out of control out there, but it got out of control out there. Came back home to Nashville and went to treatment and got sober again and just changed my whole approach on um, continuing to work on changing my whole approach to being a sober person and to my own sort of mental health and how I um, need to work every damn day at um, at my own perspective and my own sort of well-being. So that's kind of a lot, but it was I had come home, I had got sober. That's a major shift personally, within itself. Then we had a big tornado here in Nashville that was a huge deal, and then literally a week and a half later, the pandemic. Not to mention the social and political upheaval and unrest. So there was just a tremendous amount going on. And while there was a lot of noise out there in the world, for me, coming back home and trying to sort of get healthy again, there was sort of a quiet space within that all of a sudden a lot of music. That whole record was written in about 2 months. And so a bunch of songs just sort of came flooding in, where I hadn't finished a song previous to that for probably over a year or something.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Sounds like you became more present in yourself
I
or working on that. I don't know if any,
oh,
that's a challenge for everyone.
sure,
Present.
and even when you face some of those big challenges, I,
Yeah.
I think a big thing for me was embracing the idea that there's work to do every day to live, a healthier, happier life. I've tended to always want. There's my cat wanting to knock on the phone. To
Mhm.
always want to be saved by the song or by a drink or a place or a relationship, and one might, or in this case, I have written some songs that have made me feel good for a while, or have had some nice things happen, or have played a show that nice things happened, or been in relationships, gone places. And though I kind of knew it intellectually, I still was like, and still probably do, like kind of long for some kind of thing to be the thing that's going to take me where I want to go, when perhaps we all know we're already there, or there is no mountaintop, or we're already on the mountaintop, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, there was a sense of it was a combination of things that hit at the same time that forced me to be present, as you said, um, long enough and both comfortably and uncomfortably enough to um, hear the melodies and the words as they were, however that sort of thing, however songs happen. I
Yeah,
don't pretend
yeah.
to know, but
I'm
to
just
be there
curious.
for when they were
I'm
showing
just
up.
curious because my students are some of them are music supervisors, some of them might be musicians, some of them might be directors, producers, all different kinds of people are going to be watching this. And I was just curious because I've never asked you to write a song for any of my projects, but I did work on the Healing Powers of Dude, and you
Yeah,
were the theme song, which was awesome. And that, that was like an integral part of that show. The young boy who's in junior high, he had tickets of yours on his wall framed in the
yeah.
background. He wore
So
your t-shirt. So a lot went into making that happen. And I know a lot was dealt with our creator of the show, Sam, and just loving your music. When
glad
I
you
found
are.
out, I'm like, I love you. So it's like great. But have you ever written for a TV show or a film? Have you ever sat down and done that?
No, nothing that I've never been asked to, not yet.
Really?
Um, the
Okay.
only thing I was asked to do was, there was a time I've had good, thanks to yourself and some others, I've had quite a few songs in TV and in film and in some advertisements. And at one point, I think I was getting them frequently enough that Zinc, who I have so much love for, asked me to write, specifically for. They were never projects. They were like to pitch probably to someone
Right,
like
right.
this. And I had less success with that, which makes sense to me that I would have less success. Everything that I've gotten in film or TV has been something that I'd already, I think, unless I'm lying by accident, has always been something that I already wrote. Or like Sam saw me play. I think where he saw me was at a comedy show that I was a musical guest at Largo in Los Angeles, and
Right.
he just dug what I had.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you're a musician, you never know, like I said, you never know where you're going to meet the person that might be making a TV show 6 months or a year
Absolutely.
later, or be writing something. So I think, getting out and playing and being out and about,
It's what it's all about. You're entered
yeah.
into.
It's connection with people though, too. You're out,
Absolutely.
connecting.
You really never know who you're touching through your music or art, just on a personal level. And certainly, yeah, you don't know if somebody is working on a show or a film. And it's interesting that you can, some of the stuff that I've had, it was years later that a song was then taken and used for, and it sort of gives it a new life, which is always exciting.
Yeah. And I use The Way You Move, which I think has been licensed. You've had quite a few things because it's so catchy. That song is just something about it. And what's that about? Because I have no idea. I put it
Yes,
in a scene, but it's not necessarily, it's just, it worked.
it's an anthem for the underdog, for the outsider, for the beautiful freak. You were talking about your dog, and I have cats, and I love all animals, but I had a cat years ago who had a crooked tail, and I loved, it's the sort of that thing of the perfect imperfections, the chipped tooth or the whatever it might be, on and on and on. And I've always loved that. So this cat to me was like the little um, black cat outcast with the crooked tail, who I guess I sort of identified with. And so the line is, "All my friends have crooked tails." That's the way I like it. Um, yeah, I'm.
Great. I love
I'm. A,
hearing stories like that because I don't necessarily, sometimes you can read articles and find out things, but hearing it from you is really cool because
yeah.
who would
Well, thank
know
you
about your cat, right?
for sure.
There, and like you said, nothing's the imperfections. I think even what I do, it's like sometimes when I think I'm finding the right song for a scene, it's not always the perfect song, but sometimes going against what I'm trying to do, like, oh, it should be, this kind of song, and then doing the complete opposite.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes
how do you work with wanting such control and getting things perfect and allowing space for the spirits to enter and really take over, if
well,
that makes sense?
you can't,
That's the
there's
same
no,
in what I do as well.
yeah, there is no control.
Yeah,
As a music supervisor, I'm never like, everyone's like, oh, I didn't like that song, and they're well, sometimes it's not my choice.
yeah,
I can present what I think would be the perfect song for that scene, but someone else could come in and be like, I want to put this here. And I could, and things come in and go out. And I was actually talking to another artist, and she was like, she thought a song was going to be in a TV show. And then they went to watch the show and she threw a party, and then the song wasn't
oh,
in that episode. And they ended up using it, like, but they, you just don't know. Like you don't know
totally.
what's going to happen. So, but, oh, there's your cat. I see your cat.
Yeah, that's Mr. Beautiful
Oh,
making an appearance.
love that. See, that's inspiration right there. There's
Sure is.
Do you like, so do you write every day? Are you writing every day now, or just
No,
no? Okay.
no, I've never been like that. I play guitar most days. So in a form, maybe I'm writing and just messing around on guitar. But no, for me, it seems to come in waves where I will, I guess, have a lot to get
Say,
out,
yeah.
and then there are periods of time where I don't, and I continue to this day struggle with those periods, and I'm trying to get a better outlook on that. But I think of there's that Letters to a Young Poet book. Have you ever read that?
Many, many years ago.
Yeah, I used to read it a bunch many years ago. And I'm paraphrasing, but I think part of what he was saying at one point, they were sort of talking about, at least the way I remember it, like sort of a writer's block, in which he says, paraphrasing here again, that there's no such thing, in that everything that we're doing um, is sort of picking up pieces for when the poem is going to be written, or the picture is going to be painted, or the song is going to be written. I try to keep that in mind when I get frustrated, because I so do want a tangible song at my fingertips at all times that feels like this cathartic, I've said it. But no, I don't get that. I don't get that just because I want it, or even necessarily work toward it every single day with a guitar in hand. I
Hmm.
think that I try to keep myself open to be moved, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's cool because you were saying, like, because you mentioned Zinc, and that's a company that represents you for film and TV. They're like a licensing company, and I'm actually going to ask them for those songs. I think I might have them already because I know that I mean, kind of those are the kind of songs that I'm always looking for that aren't necessarily released yet. Even if
Yeah,
and sometimes I don't know. Sometimes they'll send me songs and I won't know that those were those unreleased, or um, things like that. And I know that keeps at Dual Tone, which is the label you're on now. So they usually keep me informed on what you're up to and sending me music. But it's good to know that you have a ring, because that's something for me to put in my back pocket as a music supervisor. So if I ever do need something, I'm like, oh, maybe this is, and just knowing your vibe and what you're up to, and
Well,
And
you could always just hit me up if you need
yeah,
something.
yeah, no,
It's-
yeah, TV goes so
I'll,
fast. It's hard with TV as
sure.
opposed to film, but you never know. I'm, sometimes on shows for years, so it can be something that's down the line. And it's the kind of thing that as a music supervisor, you got to keep in mind like who you're meeting, what shows you're going to, what
Sure.
like just getting your vibe, knowing like what you're open to, what your inspiration is.
Yeah.
It does make a difference for me as when I'm, you know, working with people creatively.
Well,
So,
life's too short for me to not say then it has always been a dream of mine to write specifically for a show or a film. As some of my favorite, certainly some of my favorite films and the things that like really inspired me when I was growing up were were those movies where there were people who had written the soundtrack and stuff for it.
is there any
So,
that you can think of the top of your head you want to mention?
oh, Harold and Maude,
Oh,
uh,
wow. Yeah.
that was a first favorite. The Graduate, the music to that,
Yeah.
huge one for me. It's a little different, but when I saw Rushmore in the theaters as a kid, that was like,
Mhm.
oh shit, that's amazing.
Right.
Anything that music and so
Anything
as
that Wes Anderson does. That's what I
everything
feel
that
like.
Wes Anderson does, I'm a
Everything,
huge
right?
fan.
It's always so unique and always just like his music's so cool. I'm always like, oh,
Yeah,
love
I
him.
keep waiting for the call, uh, but you never know.
You're putting it out in the universe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Right.
yeah, anything that the music is, I love Quentin Tarantino's films for that reason, and other reasons too. But yeah, that was it. Like Harold and Maude continues to be one of my all-time favorites. And when I watched, and I love Cat Stevens, so that was
I think
like,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. I think it's having like a bit of like a resurgence too. I think I've like read people are it's,
it's an amazing film.
yeah, it is amazing, right? I gotta watch that again.
Yeah, yeah, check it out again.
Yeah.
I just watched it again over the pandemic, and it's a special film for
Right?
sure.
Right. So actually there's more time there to do.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I actually like the slowing down. I think
me
that changed
too.
the universe. I think the slowing down of everyone. And it seems like a lot of people that I work with are now going back to work and just being in an office and being like I'm at my office now, but I have a office at home too. But like just not having to rush everywhere.
Totally. And I was aware, and I'm sure many others were, that there were absolutely things, and I used to feel bad to say it, but I think there's enough of us that felt that if you didn't get super sick or have just real tragedies hit your personal thing, um, there was so much kind of beauty in the shit. And how do you take the things that you learned that were working for you when everything gets fast again? So
Hmm.
I'm trying to keep it in mind, and some days are better than others with like less is more still sometimes,
Yeah.
and slow is okay too. And
Yeah.
it's hard once the faucet gets turned back on to not get carried
Wait,
away.
I have another question because did you ever sign? Do you have you don't? Did you sign a publishing deal? You don't have
Uh-uh.
so you own, which I as a music supervisor, and I don't know if you consider yourself I don't you consider yourself an indie artist? Are you like would you
I
consider?
don't consider myself.
Okay,
I
you
mean,
don't
I
consider
consider
yourself.
myself
Okay,
a
okay.
songwriter.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
perfect, perfect. But you know what I'm saying? It's like for me when I having songs written, I love when it's right for different people. Publishing deal, but when you're needing a song written and you need it written fast and you don't have to deal with like a major publisher, uh,
sure.
especially on like a smaller. I just finished an indie film and we just didn't have. There was like the budget was tiny and but we didn't even have any songs written for it. I mean, a video director was the director of it. And so he had a lot of friends in bands and he thought all
Yeah,
those bands, which he like big bands would help him out. And only one was able to really help us out. I think it was
because they would have
Papa
liked to,
Roach
but
actually helped us out and did it like really, I mean, this movie had like, I'm talking about no, I mean, our whole music budget, I think was $10,000 for all the songs.
yeah,
So like really no, people gave like friends and family gave us, but he thought all these people, these bands he was friends with would, be able to talk to their publisher and record labels. And they one of them quoted us more money than the cost to make the film.
yeah.
That's how small. I mean, and I work on I like this project. I work on all kinds of things. And I'd worked with the producer and the director because they were from Workaholics, which is a show I
Oh,
did for many
cool.
years. So they were
Yeah.
like my pals. And, sometimes you want to do things that you just want to do. And I'm obviously I'm just mom and pop. I work for myself. I don't have anyone telling me what I can and cannot do. But when sometimes when I had to go to these bigger publishers on these artists, and they were just quoting us way too high. And they were like, well, but this is it. And so anyways, it's just interesting to know.
It's
Um,
nice
but it's
on
right
my
for
end.
some people, right for them that they
Sure.
needed publishing you. So I'm not judging that, but it's just like, I was just
I get
curious.
it. Years ago, somebody advised me when there was some money to take for me, not to do it, because he said to me, you make a living, if you didn't make a living also as a touring, musician, but you do, and these other ways. And he's said that he thought I would be selling myself very short if I did that years ago, and to hold on to that for as long as I could. And I appreciate that he gave me that advice.
Right on.
And it's been nice over the years because I've been able to buy a home. And, that's not because I sell tons and tons of records. I mean, I've made more money through licensing, I think, than anything else. I think that's true.
And is that your royalties that come in, are you BMI or ASCAP or
BMI.
BMI? So that's
Yeah.
great. So
So
you
there's a
nice
there's
to
a
hear. The cue sheets are very important.
yeah, and there's a
Music
very
supervisors out there, your cue sheets must be correct because people that they might not be paid up front a lot of money for the usage, but they will get some back end money, which
yeah.
I've talked to a lot of artists, they've like bought like a car, they were able to pay their rent, or they can, like you said, you've had enough usages, it's helped you buy a home, which is
Yes, absolutely.
amazing. So,
But I was going to say too, that is all amazing, and I'm very fortunate and grateful for it. The owning the publishing has allowed me to, if somebody has a film like what you're talking about, where they don't have a big budget, but I love what they're doing, and um, you know, it's been nice to make enough money to buy a home, and also be like, just use it, to something else.
cool. That's good to hear because I don't know backstory. Sometimes I get emails and letters, and sometimes it's nice surprises to hear that. It's usually I don't usually when it really means something to someone, I'll like get an email, or someone will
Yeah,
forward me an email from somebody that I'd be like, oh wow, that I don't know how much what I do as a music supervisor affects people because I'm in my own bubble, I'm just
totally.
and then like the next day it's another thing that I'm dealing with, and it's another
Yeah,
thing I'm dealing with. So
I get it in my
um
own way.
I appreciate connecting with you because then taking the time out just to say hey, and I get a little know more about you, and
Yeah.
sharing some of what you've gone through to get to where you are now. So, is
Well, I
there
appreciate
any?
it too. I was happy and surprised when I got the note that said that you were doing this. So
Yeah, I was thinking of some placements I had, and I really enjoyed, and because the Healing Powers of Dude, which is the kids show, which I'd never done a kids show before, that it was interesting. I was talking to Sam, and we were talking about he loved music, and so like talking to him about music was super fun. But I said something like, "Well, is this his dad's music?" Because the kid was in junior high. He's like, "No, this
yeah,
is
I love
not."
that.
And I love that about that too. So you learn a lot, and I think we used like two songs, and that wasn't a big budgeted show either, because they
No, but
don't
I
usually
love.
budget music for kids shows, and they don't hire music supervisors that much for kids shows. So once again, through my relationships, I was able to they're like, just hire her, she'll make your life so much easier.
Yeah, and for me, it was meeting uh, Sam, and just getting to know him a little bit, and I was like
Mhm.
super psyched to have a small part in that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, and have you watched the show? Have you had a chance to
I
watch
have,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a great, I think message that you don't see in a lot of shows for kids and growing up. Because
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, any parting advice for songwriters or musicians who might be out there?
Uh, love over gold is where
Oh,
what
I
I
love that. Yeah. Yeah.
um, and just, I think, trying to remain raw and real, and from the heart. That's what I'm aiming to do. So
Well, let's end on that. I love that. From the heart.
From the heart, my friend.
Right on. Well,
Well,
thank
thank you.
you. All right. Talk to you
Yeah.
soon. Okay.
All right. Let me know if
Bye.
you want to come to a show or anything sometime.
Yeah,
Be
let
nice
me
to
know when
see
you're in
you.
LA.
Okay. I
Okay.
will. All
Okay,
right.
be
Thanks so
well.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.